I was doing my surgical rotation and the attending had peeled his gloves off, walked out, came back into the OR and watched me stitch. And he goes, "Where did a girl like you learn how to sew?" And I said back, "Where did a boy like you learn how to sew?" I had been sewing since I had been 5 years old.
Women are the heart and soul of medicine. Women bring the care into hospitals and into medical facilities. And women bring so much creativity and aliveness and intelligence to every part of what they do in medicine, whether they're nurses or orderlies or researchers or scientists or students.
We're more than half the population. We're filled with ideas of how to move the world forward, and yet there are so many barriers put in our way to being able just to contribute our gifts to the world. Women confront challenges all along the way.
So it starts when you're a medical student and there's just an assumption that you're not going to go as far as your male peers. You are listened to less, you're given less credit for your ideas, and you realize that when you walk into a room, it is not assumed that you're the doctor.
Still very much an old boys club, and so I think it's a very hierarchical system. Most chairs are male, most healthcare leadership are male.
There's a lot of vulnerability in terms of putting yourself out there to take care of people. There are a lot of opportunities for harassment.
I started working at the Institute in May of 2017 and quickly realized that it was a very oppressive and unsafe place for women.
Very quickly, myself and other women in leadership positions found ourselves demoted. A layer of men were put into leadership positions above us who were underqualified and inexperienced.
I was demoted, my pay was cut 40%, and I was sidelined from any of the meaningful projects that were ongoing. I was the director of the Human Rights Program, and I ended up managing the website and a MailChimp account.
Compared to my male counterpart who had the same number of years of experience, I was not paid the same, I wasn't treated the same. I had put together a meeting. Once the meeting started, I was sitting at the front and he did not acknowledge me at all. So I looked like an admin assistant.
I would characterize it as emotional abuse, trying to undermine you, trying to make you cry, and then characterizing you as emotional. I witnessed my co-plaintiff being screamed at. I watched the person in leadership just pretend like it wasn't happening. I was publicly berated at a meeting for something that I was never asked to do. One of our defendants criticized the intelligence of my co-plaintiff, who has 3 degrees from Harvard, and told me that he had taught her how to think and that he was going to teach me how to think.
The work that I had built over 10 years was completely destroyed. And now, 3 years later, more than a dozen women have resigned from the Institute. Our educational program are a fraction of what they used to be, and our international partnerships have completely fallen apart.
I think one of the statistics that we don't have a real handle on yet is how many women leave medicine because of these experiences. Not only leave an institution, but leave the field of medicine altogether. And the loss is profound.
Being mistreated and degraded has really set me back years in terms of my self-esteem, my feelings of self-efficacy, my feeling that I am someone who can impact the world in the way that I used to think I could.
I lacked the confidence to do a lot of the work. It was demoralizing. I lost a lot of motivation.
Living in an environment where I constantly felt under threat and was unsure of what would happen at any given moment, it was a very difficult emotional period, and physically I started to see the consequences as well.
I have suffered physical health problems, mental health problems, and certainly my career has suffered. I was a leader in health and human rights, working internationally and also working very hard at home in the institution to build out a health and human rights program, including training the next generation of young physicians. And with the new director in place, I found that it was all over.
I will no longer be educating medical students in global health, which means that my impact on a new generation of doctors has been lost. And the thing that makes me most angry for myself and for women around me is that our inspiration for medicine has been destroyed. We came to medicine believing that we would be given the opportunity to use our talents and our intelligence and our creativity to change the world. And those opportunities have just been, one by one, taken away. And then you get to the point where you just can't fight anymore. You get to the point where you want to give up. And then I think if that has happened for me, and that has happened for almost 80% of healthcare workers are women. So imagine if women are being degraded, devalued, disrespected, what is that doing to our healthcare system? What is that doing to the quality of care that people can expect?
So we need to address this issue for myriad reasons. It's about fairness, it's about justice, but it's also about good patient outcomes in the end. None of us want physicians who aren't working at the top of their game.
It's easy to be an advocate when that's a nameless person and when you have nothing to lose. It's a lot harder to stick your neck out when you actually have something at stake, but that's where real integrity and real leadership comes into play. Certainly for us, a lawsuit was the last option, but sometimes I think we have to do that, and we have to be brave and make those decisions, and that's really the only way that we're going to change things is to speak up and to challenge the systems.
We need to set up safe, independent reporting systems. We need to hold institutions more accountable. We need more transparency.
If you feel like you're being discriminated against, you probably are. So my advice then would be, if you see it, then validate it. Keep talking to each other, keep supporting each other.
Find out what your rights are. Find out about policies in your own institution, in your city and state law. Take notes and protect evidence. Also, you can call a lawyer. A lawyer can have some great recommendations for you on how to proceed.
All it does really take is a few people to do nothing for evil to flourish. If you don't speak up, nothing will happen. It might not help to speak up, but definitely nothing will change if you don't speak up.
Your silence will not protect you. It's our responsibility, not just for ourselves, but for all the women who are coming after us.
We all feel strongly that Mount Sinai will be a better health system and will provide better care to its patients when this is over. And I hope that other people will hear our story and think more about what they can do to support their colleagues and make their workplace better.
What we have to lose is far less valuable than what we have to gain by standing and speaking and stopping this abuse of power.
It's going to take all of us together to change the culture. So we have a lot of work to do.